episode begins with a group of Marines attempting to fight some killers. However, the killers, being much smarter and possessing unusual powers, were consistently defeating them. Their leader, Nico, possessed the power to remove her hands from anyone's body and make them do whatever she wanted, even killing them. Therefore, despite being just 3, they quickly killed all the soldiers. They then moved on and found the body of one of their comrades, whose death had left them deeply saddened. Nico, in particular, wanted to avenge her comrade's death. She investigates the last remaining soldier and discovers that the killer is a pirate, now sailing towards the Grand Line to fulfill a dream. We then move on to Luffy and his team, known to everyone as the Straw Hat Pirates. Luffy is the captain of this crew, and a strange and special thing about him is that in his childhood, he ate a devil fruit called Gamu Gamu no Mi. This made his entire body extremely flexible, like rubber. He can now stretch his legs and arms to do anything. Even bullets have no effect on him due to his rubber-like body. Before heading towards the Grand Line, the entire crew decides to stop at an island and do some shopping. Another important character in their crew is Zoro, the world's greatest swordsman. He always uses 3 swords to fight, 2 of which are always in his hands, and 1 in his mouth. He decides to acquire 3 swords on this island, as he currently has 1. A girl with a deep knowledge of swords helps him acquire the best swords. Well, now we meet the 3rd crew member of the Straw Hat Pirates, Nami. She serves as the navigator on their ship. She guides the ship, and along with routes and maps, she's also very adept at weather forecasting. Before becoming a navigator, she used to be a thief, and after coming to this island, she continues her piracy. It's here that many people are after Luffy, as the government has placed a hefty bounty on his capture. But Luffy has no fear. He aspires to become like the legendary pirate who is already renowned worldwide. He also visits the island specifically to see the place where his role model, the pirate, was hanged. It's here that a man first lures him away with words. He also takes him to a fair, where a trap has already been set for him. Here, Luffy's hat, under which a severed hand controls him, is revealed. She gets up and goes somewhere else, and when he goes to catch her, he ends up in the midst of his enemies. When Luffy tries to hit the girl who wanted to catch him, his hand slips. The girl explains that she ate the slip fruit as a child, which makes every attack on her slip. Luffy finds this very amusing and thinks it will be fun to fight them. Their fight begins. Luffy is a little weak, and because of this, the poor fellow takes a lot of beating. The leader of this group of girls captures Luffy and handcuffs him, preventing him from using his power to stretch his arms and legs. During this, we are introduced to a new character, Smoker, who is against all pirates and wants to capture and kill them. He learns that Luffy has arrived on their island, so he begins searching for him. He discovers that the girl who previously helped Zoro obtain the swords was also his spy. She brings her boss to the same fair where Luffy was. It's revealed that Luffy's team has arrived to rescue Luffy. They begin fighting with the girl who captured Luffy and are about to sentence him to death. When the sword-wielding girl sees Zoro fighting, she regrets being a pirate, having been impressed by his talent. It's then shown that Luffy's team, while dodging the girl, attacks her with a bomb that misses her, injuring her. Smoker, however, shows Luffy smiling even during this difficult time. The once great pirate, who was simply a hero to all of them, was his job now to capture Luffy. His entire team now begins to fight Luffy's team. Luffy tries his best to save himself and kill Smoker. But here we learn that Smoker also has a power. He can transform himself into smoke, making none of Luffy's attacks effective against him. But he beats Luffy to a pulp, and the poor fellow can't even escape with his long arms and legs. Sanji, also a member of Luffy's crew, tries his best to save him. But in the end, Smoker prevails, captures Luffy, and declares that he doesn't even deserve to be called a pirate. He was about to kill him. But then Smoker's superior arrives and tells him, "No, I don't think it's time to kill Luffy yet. Leave him alone." Because of this, Smoker's entire team leaves, and Luffy and his team head towards their ship. Here we see that Tashigi, the girl with the sword, was still deeply upset that Zoro hadn't told her he was a pirate. Although Zoro apologized to her during the fight, her anger hadn't subsided. Just then, Nico, who is essentially an enemy of Luffy's team, arrives and confronts her. She knows of Tashiga's talent and wants to include her in her team. Meanwhile, we see Luffy's team, who are extremely excited because they have finally achieved their mission. They are about to enter the Grand Line through the Reverse Mountain, but luck runs out here. A terrible storm hits, causing their ship's navigator to break. To save the ship, Luffy uses his large hands, holding onto the mountains to keep the ship balanced. But suddenly, a huge wall appears before them. Actually, it wasn't a wall. It was a huge whale named Laboon. As soon as the whale appears, it opens its huge mouth, and they are unable to slow down or turn their ship. As a result, their ship now goes straight into the whale's mouth. Luffy, however, manages to save himself by hanging onto the cliff with his large arms. However, he loses his balance and falls. When he regains consciousness, he sees the whale right in front of him, the whale whose stomach now contained his ship and his entire crew. Upon regaining consciousness, Luffy becomes furious and attempts to attack him. But this only further unjars the whale. To calm the whale's anger, a new character is shown in the background, who fires a large injection from a cannon at the whale, rendering it unconscious. Seeing his actions, Luffy understands that this man knows a lot about whales. He tells him, "My ship and my friends are inside the whale's belly, and I want to save them, and you'll help me do that." Inside the whale's belly, we see Luffy's team encounter two strange individuals, Mr. Nine and Miss Wednesday. Both are very strange and incredibly powerful. They start fighting people for no reason, but they defeat Mr. Nine and blackmail Miss Wednesday, stopping the fight. They imprison them, and from their conversation, Zorro learns that they work for a community called Baroque Works, one of whose leaders was actually killed by Zorro's team. Meanwhile, Jabra was talking to Smoker about this Baroque Works community. They considered this community a grave threat to the world because they were killing and ruling over innocent people. Their entire secret community was always kept secret. Their names were based on numbers, days, or months, and most importantly, they had never been caught. Here, the general tells Smoker that their leader's name is Mr. Zero, and that to control everything, they must capture and kill Zero at any cost. The final scene cuts to Luffy, stranded on the island and deeply worried for his friends. He tells Mr. Brogy, "No matter what, I have to save my friends. Tell me how to do this." Brogy replies, "I can't do anything." The whale is furious and tries to break through the wall in front of him. In the process, he is completely stunned. She doesn't care how many people she's swallowed. She's taken their lives. Brogy says she wasn't like this before. She was a very friendly whale who befriended a passing team called the Rumbar Pirates. She always accompanied them. But then, due to her enormous size, she couldn't go inside the Grand Line. But the Rumbar Pirates had to go there. Traveling with this whale was becoming a huge problem for them. So I gave them a warning. You complete your mission alone. In the meantime, I'll stay on this island and take care of your whale. They agreed and even tried to reason with the whale. But now, 50 years have passed. Those people haven't returned. That's why the whale is still angry. I sometimes calm the whale's anger by playing a special tune that saved those pirates. But it doesn't always work. Hearing this, Luffy felt a sense of hope. He went to Laboon and began singing Laboon's song. At that very moment, Laboon was furious, and his friends' lives were in danger. At first, Laboon didn't respond much, but when Luffy continued singing and finished the song, the whale became extremely emotional and released his friends from his stomach. He was overjoyed to see his friends. He had now made Laboon his friend and even carved his pirate symbol on his face. After this, Luffy told Laboon, "Don't try to break these mountains, or this symbol of our friendship will be erased. I promise I won't betray you like your old friends, and I'll definitely come back." They resume their journey across the Grand Line, where Luffy meets Miss Wednesday, who was held captive by his crew. He talks to Wednesday, and she doesn't seem too dangerous to him, so he opens it. Seeing this, Mr. Nine thinks Luffy is very stupid. He'll open it too, but Luffy doesn't do anything. Just then, Miss Wednesday tells them all that she sees an island nearby. They all become very excited, as this was their first island on the Grand Line. While they were busy celebrating, Miss Wednesday jumps into the water, freeing her friend, Mr. Nine, and escapes from their clutches. But their escape doesn't matter to them, and they reach the island, immersed in their fun. Upon reaching the island, they become even more excited as they discover that the people there are very hospitable, love pirates, and listen to their stories very carefully. Hearing this, everyone relaxed and began to thoroughly enjoy themselves on the island. But they soon discover the truth. The island's inhabitants aren't hospitable. bounty hunters whose job it was to capture and kill pirates. They've even built graves for thousands of them on the island. Upon learning of this, Zoro single-handedly hunts down the largest number of bounty hunters on the island with his 3 swords, fighting and killing them. Mr. Nine, who had been watching the entire battle, becomes furious and tells the rest of his men that these are the ones who killed their leader, Mr. Seven. This further fuels the frenzy, and their battle becomes even more fierce. While fighting, they discover a secret about the Baroque agents. Each member doesn't use a name, but uses a code instead. The shorter the code number, the more powerful they are. Well, a lot of killers come here, whom he kills single-handedly. After that, along with Mr. Nine, he also starts fighting single-handedly against another of Mr. Nine's associates, Miss Monday. Although Miss Monday was very powerful and was having a hard time fighting her, he used all his training today, and finally Zoro manages to kill both of them. And then, by killing the last killer who attacked him from behind, he completes the century of killing 100 killers. Now here we are shown 2 of Nico's associates shown at the beginning of the story, who want to kill Miss Wednesday and the leader of the island, because they have found out that both of them are other spies within the Baroque community. To understand all this confusion, Luffy asks her why they want to kill you when they're from your own team. Miss Wednesday no longer lies to him and reveals that her real name isn't Wednesday. I'm actually Princess Vivi of the Alabasta Kingdom, she says, and this man is my guard. I met Baroque inside this community so I could learn how these people are trying to destroy my kingdom and save it. Vivi also tells him that the leader of the Baroque works is Mr. Zero, one of the 7 warlords of the world, whose real name is Sir Crocodile. Crocodile possesses the Suna Suna no Mi, which turns his body into sand. He can compress anything into ash and possess it. He wants to attack our kingdom of Alabasta. He wants to create a prison there so he can turn the people there against my dad and gain the power of the plot. Hearing Vivi's story, Luffy and his crew decide to help Vivi. They will take her to her kingdom and save her. Taking Princess Vivi with them, they board their boat, eluding their enemies. Vivi's guard fights them until the last minute. Ultimately, it is killed by one of their bombs. This leaves Vivi deeply saddened. Nico's partners look around the island and discover that Mr. Nine isn't dead. He's merely wounded. They reveal to Mr. Nine the truth about Miss Wednesday, claiming she's actually the Princess of Alabasta, who was working with them as a spy, and they ask him to kill her. But Mr. Nine refuses, saying, "Whoever she is, she was my partner, and I would never kill her." In this anger, they kill Mr. Nine as well. On the other hand, we're shown a scene on their ship again, where everyone is extremely worried because Vivi was sad. She was telling everyone her story when suddenly flowers started growing from somewhere. Looking up, we realized that Miss Nico, whom we'd seen at the beginning of the season, had arrived. They all know about her dangerous powers, which is why they panic. She attacks them all within a minute, but doesn't kill any of them. Interestingly, she knew everything about them. She even knew that Vivi was working as a spy for another group. Anyway, they weren't afraid of her. She left after giving them some warnings, and also told Luffy not to go to an island called Little Garden. He'll encounter many enemies there. He could go to a new island, and I'll give him a navigator. But Luffy breaks the navigator and declares, "This is my ship. I'm its captain, and I'll decide where it goes." Luffy decides to go to Little Garden, although everyone tries to convince him that they should be afraid of Nico and his team, as they too possess strange powers. He isn't afraid. They finally reach the island, a unique island. The plants and trees, even the fruits, are enormous, and there are dinosaurs. They even fight 8 of them. They also encounter 2 giant humans named Dory and Brogy. Here, Nami and one of his companions are captured by one of the giants, while Luffy and Vivi are captured by the other. At first, they are frightened, but they realize that the giants don't want to harm them. They just want to talk to them. This giant tells everyone that these 2 giants have come here to fight from another island. They have been fighting each other for years, and they don't even remember what started their fight. But both of them fight honestly, and that is why they have not been able to win till date, because both of them have equal strength. Now here we are shown that 2 of their enemies who were earlier after them have also reached this island. And after coming here, they also meet an agent named Mr. 3, who tells them that I have come to help you in your mission, because both of us have the same goal, to kill Luffy's gang. And for all this, one of my associates has already started working here. It's shown that a girl controls these people's emotions by marking their bodies with strange colors. We also learn a little more about Mr. 3. He possesses a power called Doru Doru no Mi, which allows him to expel waxy wax from his body. This wax hardens to become harder than iron. The 2 giants then begin a fight, showing respect to each other before the battle. It's revealed that they were excellent warriors and always showed respect to each other before the fight. Before the fight, they both drink their drinks, and it's revealed that Luffy's enemies had placed a bomb in one of the giants' drinks, which takes effect sometime later during the fight. When the giant takes an ice cube, smoke comes out of its mouth. When the giant weakens, another giant attacks it, killing it. Here, they realize that the battle was won through cheating, and tell the other warrior this, leaving the other warrior deeply saddened, because the victory achieved through cheating wasn't a true victory. The warrior has now decided that the one who killed their fellow warrior will kill them as well. Meanwhile, a new girl disguised as a child is revealed. When Luffy goes to help her, it's revealed that this girl is also his enemy. She makes a mark on his face with blue paint, leaving Luffy heartbroken. Unable to control himself, he discovers that this girl has the power to control people's emotions by creating similar marks with different colors. Because of this power, Luffy is unable to understand anything, and this girl finds his true target, Princess Vivi. They knock Vivi unconscious, and and when she regains consciousness, Vivi finds herself imprisoned with Luffy's companions. These people were currently inside a wax house, outside of which we also see Jabra and Jim, their enemies. They were imprisoned there by Mr. 3, whose wax was so hard that they couldn't escape, and Zoro was unconscious due to the paint on him. Wife quickly understands this trick and first removes the paint from Nami, the girl standing next to her, after which they regained consciousness. Meanwhile, we were shown that Luffy was also unconscious due to the same paint, and Usopp was trying to revive him, telling him that his friends were in trouble, in danger. He couldn't fight them alone. Therefore, he goes in search of the only survivor giant, who is now a statue of wax, also because of Mr. 3. Meanwhile, Sanji, their companion, finds the same wax house. But when he searches the place, he doesn't find his companions. Mr. 3 had actually taken them out and had them all stand on a large cake made by his wax. He had lit candles on top, and now the wax is slowly melting, turning them all into statues of wax. He was taking full advantage of their agony and having fun. But when he notices that nothing is happening to Zoro, he's just laughing. He realizes that Zoro is under the influence of the paint. He strips Zoro's paint as well, and Zoro becomes enraged. He even tries to break the wax body with his sword, but all is in vain. Now, in the house where Sanji was at that time, a phone remains. It was Mr. 0 who was asking Mr. 3, "Did you kill Luffy's men?" Sanji, posing as Mr. 3, says, "Yes, I did." Mr. 0 explains that he sent 2 of his monsters here to eat their corpses. He goes outside and sees monsters flying on large dragons, and as soon as they see Sanji, they attack him. Sanji also shows courage, catching hold of him and brutally kicking him. He himself is injured in the fight. But then, mustering his courage, he calls Mr. 0 again and says, "Your monsters are quite useless." And then he realizes that Luffy's men are still alive. Meanwhile, Usopp finds the giant everyone thought was dead, but in reality, he was unconscious, and he is overjoyed to see it. After this, Usopp goes ahead and somehow finds Luffy, where the girl is now Luffy. Controlling him with his paint, he is about to kill him by drowning him in water, but instead drops his own paint on his face, rescuing Luffy from the water. He tells him about his friends who were in trouble, and Luffy is deeply troubled by this and sets off to go there. Soon they arrive looking for them, and Mr. 3, upon seeing them, says, "Oh, you're too late. Your friends have become wax figures. Their bodies are still alive, but they'll die in a short while." Mr. 3's words enrage Luffy, and when he moves to attack Mr. 3, Mr. 3 flees. Luffy had tasked Usopp with saving his friends, but Usopp wasn't that brave. But he didn't give up and starts fighting with Jabra and Jim. He wasn't even fighting, but he was actually taking more beatings. At one point, we started to think Usopp was deliberately taking his powerful punches, and this was true. In reality, his punches were doing less harm to Usopp. They were more focused on breaking the wax statue, which had freed his friends. Meanwhile, we were shown Luffy and Mr. 3 fighting. Mr. 3 had created several more statues of himself, and Luffy couldn't figure out which one was the real one. He punched them all, but none of them broke. Just then, Mr. 3 appeared from behind and attacked him. He then escaped and ran into Dory the giant. Upon chasing him, Luffy discovered that Dory had also been turned into a wax figure by the man before he could do anything to the giant. Mr. 3 arrives and encases his hands in wax, enraging him. He then uses the same hand to free the giant, smashing the wax into the mountain, breaking it. He then returns to his friends. Jabra and his companions were beaten and chased away by these people, and while fighting, they dropped a log pose belonging to the kingdom of Alabasta, where Vivi was supposed to take them. The two giants are overjoyed to see each other alive and decide not to fight again. They continue their journey, and the giant supports them greatly, knowing they faced significant dangers, such as a giant goldfish that was about to eat their ship. But the giant, striking underwater, created such a powerful wave that the fish was split in two by the force of the water. Everything was going smoothly until Nami suddenly falls unconscious. Meanwhile, we see Nico, at Mr. Zero's behest, meet a cruel king to help him capture Luffy and his team. The king asks her why he would help her in her mission. Nico offers her a devil fruit to eat that will give her a strange power. Meanwhile, on the boat, we see Nami regain consciousness after 4 days and discover that she was bitten by a poison that has spread throughout her body. They desperately want to find help, but they haven't seen any islands nearby, and they've now reached a snowy area. Their luck runs out, and they spot a nearby island that Vivi knew about. It was the Drum Kingdom. The people here were very nice, and she knew there were plenty of doctors there. But before she could go in, she set a condition. No one should know about her, because the Drum Kingdom and our kingdom used to be enemies. When they ask Vivi the reason, the story flashes back to the past. We are shown a meeting of the world government where we see little Vivi. It was at that meeting that Wapol, the king of this kingdom, and her father had a heated argument. They even fought. The scenes return to the present, and the men stand outside the kingdom's gates. But no one lets them in. They even come to blows. But Vivi explains to them that they must take it easy. As the brother of a man named Dalton arrives, she begs him to let them go. Their companion needs treatment. So he takes them in, but tells them that no doctors work here anymore because the cruel king, during an attack, drove away all the doctors and left his people to die here. And since then, I have been protecting all these people. Hearing this news, they are deeply saddened. But the man tells them not to be afraid. A witch still lives on that peak, and she is also a doctor. She will definitely cure them. At first, they are frightened by the witch's name. But Luffy decides not to delay much, and instead of taking the long route to get treatment, he will climb the sheer cliff with his companion in his arms. The scene cuts to Smoker and Tashigi on the other side, who, along with Baroque Works' team, are also trying to capture Luffy. While chasing everyone to an island, They find some killers with Tashigi, but Tashigi doesn't kill him, and Smoker praises her for this. It turns out this was Mr. 11, whom they were now trying to capture to find Mr. Zero, their leader. Here we see Vivi and the Daltons together again, and it's revealed that they've met before at the same meeting. Vivi was secretly listening to the entire meeting, despite her guards forbidding her to do so. But because she believed she would be the next princess of the kingdom, she needed to know everything. Meanwhile, Wapol, the evil king, had fought with Vivi's father. When he came out in anger, he saw Vivi and slapped her in anger. When Vivi's guards come forward to avenge her, Vivi stops the fight, knowing that if the fight escalates, it could lead to war. Dalton had learned that the girl was incredibly intelligent that day. At this point, we see Vivi deeply distressed, as her kingdom used to be the best in the world, its medicines renowned worldwide, and now her people are desperate for treatment. She now wants to do something for her kingdom, along with saving it. The scene cuts to Luffy, who is still bravely climbing up, but the situation is dire. He loses his courage and is about to fall. But just in time, Luffy sees her, stretches his neck, catches her with his mouth, and throws her over the hill. Then the men themselves arrive. The castle is now before them, but they lack the strength to move forward. At this moment, a monster appeared in front of them, and Luffy asked for help before fainting, after which the scene cut away. After a while, when they regained consciousness, they were inside a house. Nami first saw a small animal, which hid upon seeing her. We see that the small animal could speak like a human, and now works with the witch to decide on Nami's medicine. They explain that, due to the animal's bite, poison has spread throughout her body, and now she must stay here until the medicine is ready. Meanwhile, Luffy comes running in, panicked, and tells them that this witch wants to eat her. She kept her underwater for so long. The little monster explains that all this was to save her life. She was dying of cold, and she was placed in warm water to normalize her body temperature. Seeing this cute little monster talking,